Welcome everyone to this presentation on how to avoid food waste using meal planning. Today we're going to talk about a whole range of things, primarily focused on how to avoid food waste. It's a really important aspect of our living, and it's something that, you know what, we traditionally are getting wrong. So bear with me, come with me. This presentation today is going to have several actions in it. So come with me and we'll do those actions, we'll work our way through, and keep in the back of your mind all the time that we're really all about preventing food waste. Okay, so meal planning. Now, that word planning, does it make you want to run a mile? I must admit, planning, I think we need a new word. It's quite a scary word. But again, take that scary element away. We're going to break it down into pieces, as I suggested earlier. Take those actions into small sections, and then it won't be quite so daunting. Let's learn a little bit more about food waste, shall we? So in doing so, I actually have a meal here. This is actually caponata, which is a version of it. So I usually made with eggplant, but in this instance I've made it primarily with zucchini. You might ask, why zucchini? Well, this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later, but the zucchini is a replacement ingredient because I had a lot of them. And if you've got a lot, why not use it? But what I wanted to show you and introduce you to this meal for is because there's celery, there's tomato, there's onions, there's some carrot, there's a whole range of some olives and some capers, a whole range of different things all mixed up in a very mild vinaigrette. And if we grab this other bowl here, these are one version of the food waste that we might have. So we've got some of the onion peels, a little bit of carrot tops, some of the old celery tops, a little bit of a zucchini stem. So that's one aspect of what you might deem as being food waste. But there are other types of food waste, all of which we're going to try and avoid through learning about meal planning. Those other types of meal waste might be something that is your leftovers that just don't get eaten. So you've made a big meal and some of it didn't get consumed. Or it might also be those ingredients that you bought with such fantastic intentions that unfortunately just sat in the fridge, wilted and looked really, really sad now. So those ingredients are all deemed as being food waste. So through the process of meal planning, we're really going to try very hard to limit this aspect, the leftovers not being eaten aspect, and also the wilted celery or other ingredients that just didn't get to their full potential. So let's move on to the first action. So the first action I'd really, really like for you to do is to, I'm just thinking it may get a little gory depending on how your food waste is looking, but I really want you to evaluate your food waste. So I want you to have a look at it and see what it actually is. So this is where it could get a little gory, a little messy, but you know, maybe it's involving tipping it out on the bench if it's some of the food scraps and seeing what's in there, or it might be emptying the things out of your fridge and seeing what's in that. So there might be some use-by dates that you might need to read, or it might be in the pantry where there's a few things that surprise you. Oh my gosh, look, there's a tin of jalapenos. Or there might be those leftovers that actually got the lid put on and put in the freezer, and you haven't been labelled and you're just not really sure what they are. So all of those aspects, I want you to have a look at what might be food waste in your household so that you can then evaluate whether you need to change some of the processes and procedures that you are currently doing. And that's where meal planning comes in, and I'm going to try and help you with that. So that's your first action in this presentation. Have a look at your waste, see what it is, and just get in your mind where you could potentially improve and minimise your food waste. So if we're thinking about that, you might be also thinking while you're pulling these apart, why? Why? Why do I have to minimise food waste? Well, there's a big picture and a little picture. Let me show you. Here's the little picture. So the little picture is all about reducing food waste for things that benefit you immediately. It saves you money. And Sustainability Victoria, actually some other organisations as well, have done a lot of studies on the cost of food waste to society. So the cost immediately to you, they're suggesting is $2,200 per annum per household. Imagine that in your pocket. Now, I don't know about you, but I could buy a lot of plants for that money. So I'm happy to save that on anyone's behalf. So it saves you money, it saves you time. So the time that it takes you to go and do shopping, where you can better utilise the ingredients you already have. The time in preparing meals, where you actually don't have to have that fully processed item. Or it also encourages you to think about providing healthier meals, simply because of that planning aspect. We talked about the planning, I know, but simply back to the planning aspect. It encourages you to be healthier in the meals that you construct. So that's it, that's a U. So this is the little picture. Let me get the big picture. So reducing food waste in a big picture concept, it really importantly, it heals our broken food system. So our food system is currently very linear. We consume something, we buy something, we consume something, and then all the byproducts from that consumption then pretty much end up out as waste. That's packaging, that's food scraps, food waste, and in some ways it's even some of the energy. What I'd really like, if I had my mantra, I would actually encourage this food system to be a circular economy, whereby when you've finished with something, it doesn't get thrown out, it doesn't get wasted, it actually gets reintroduced and repurposed into a different system, and therefore introducing that circular nature. In a big picture, again, why we should reduce food waste, it respects past generations, it respects future generations, and it respects the place that you live. So many resources are involved in producing the food that we have. Like the packaging, the transport, there's just so many resources, the design of the packaging. And by us not respecting that and not using the resources as they're best intended, just really lets the side down. You're not a team player. So in a big picture context, it's a fantastic reason to avoid food waste. And in a similar guise, we're talking about better using our finite resources. As you know, the planet is not a place where there's copious quantities of everything. We may think so, we may act like there is, but the reality is very much smacking us in the face. We just don't have enough resources to be able to continue this style of process of thinking and behaving. So big picture stuff, fantastic reason to reduce our food waste. Okay, so today, what we're going to do is we're going to start out by designing a meal plan. We're then going to look at how you can adapt that plan to use perhaps your need to use ingredients. I'm going to talk with you about living that plan, because it's one thing to have a plan. It's another thing entirely to make it happen in practice. And then I'm going to throw a whole lot of resources and help and suggestions your way. And intermingled with that will be some strategic actions. So hopefully through this presentation, we can avoid food waste, minimise it, or imagine eradicating it in your household. So let's begin by designing a meal plan. What is this meal plan? I've been throwing this word around. Let's have a look at one, shall we? So tucked over on this side, and I don't expect you to read it, but I will just explain the components of it, is my visual spreadsheet as a meal plan. So we've got days of the week, and then we've got some meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then some snacks. And down the bottom, I've got a shopping list. So this matrix here, if we fill that in, you'd be surprised how well that helps your meal planning for the week. And again, remember, why are we meal planning? Yes, to avoid food waste. So that's one style of meal plan. Another style of meal plan is where you use your device. So there's a couple of different apps that Sustainability Victoria actually recommend on their website. So you can have a look at those. There's List Tonic is one. And the other one is, let me read, it is AnyList. I don't know anything about those apps. I presume they're just list-based apps. I would be old school and use paper for my meal plan, but by all means give those a go, because if you feel more comfortable using your device in the supermarket when you've got your shopping list generated, then that's perfect. Can I also suggest there's another app which is more focused on meal planning called Mealime, and that's worth having a look at, particularly for this planning process. Remember that word planning. Please don't run a mile. Please stay with us for the planning. Okay, so going back to that. So Mealime was the app that you might like to have a look at, again, to create that sort of plan on your device. But for the process of the presentation today, we're going to make things nice and visual. So we're sticking with our paper and pen form. So what I'd like to do to take it to the next step is to actually I'm going to sort of backstep a fraction. And at this point, now that you know what a meal plan might look like, I want you to think about what your meal plan looks like. I want you to think about, what are you going to plan? Are you going to plan for 7 days? Are you going to plan for breakfast, lunch and dinner? Are you going to plan for all of the members of your household? So have a think about what your plan might look like. So that's another action point in this presentation for you. Now, I'm really excited here. I get to introduce my household to you. So we're going to go through the process of asking questions of my household. The same sort of questions I encourage you to ask your household, so that you can then find out some information which will help you put together your meal plan. So the questions that I'll introduce my household first. So we have lovely Claire and Quincy.
Hello.
How's Quincy? Quincy's a bit shy, but I'm sure we'll get the answers we need from Quincy. And Claire and Quincy are going to be important in constructing the meal plan, because some of the answers they give me are going to help me put the meal plan together. So let's get a blank sheet here. We'll pop that up there. And my meal plan today is only going to focus on dinner. So that's just my choice for our meal plan. So Claire, can I ask which nights of the week you're going to be home this week?
This week we are going to be home Tuesday.
Tuesday? Let's park it in the dinner one. So there's one person home on Tuesday.
And Wednesday.
And Wednesday.
And Thursday.
And Thursday.
And because I have a toddler, to be honest, it's Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, Friday, Saturday.
We don't have much of a social life past 7 o'clock.
No, I can understand, and I'm sure there's many people out there who can also relate to that, so that's actually fine. So I think we're pretty well versed in putting Quincy down on those nights too.
Are you going to be home then too?
You're going to be home those nights too? I think so. We'll make that judgment call, because I can't imagine, although you're holding Lightning McQueen, I don't think you've got your licence just yet.
Not
No.
quite.
Okay. Now, to another very important question. So just revising that. So the first question is, which nights of the week are your household members going to be home? Second question, what is your favourite meal?
What's your favourite food? Do you remember? Which is your favourite?
What was it? Was it this one over here? Should we scoot that along? Was it that one?
Yes.
Pete?
What's that called?
Pizza!
Do you love pizza?
Yeah. Fantastic. All right, so we'll write down here as a little note to ourselves that we have Quincy with pizza. And Claire, what is your favourite meal?
My favourite is spaghetti bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese, sure. I mean, who doesn't love a spaghetti bolognese? Such a fantastic dish. Thank you both so much. Now I'd like to introduce you to a couple of other members of my household. So Annie.
Hello, Kylie.
Annie. The gorgeous Miss Annie. So which nights of the week are you going to be home?
Well, Monday night I've got yoga, so I'll have to have an early tea.
Right.
And something light.
But you'll be home. So you'll be
Yes,
here.
I will be home.
Yes. What about Tuesday?
Well, most other nights I'm home.
Okay. So I'll put you
At
down.
some stage.
All right. So you'll require an evening meal for every night of the week.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Especially if you're cooking it.
Especially, okay, I promise. And also, what is your favourite meal?
Tuna bait's a good one.
Tuna bake.
Yeah, yes.
All right, let's put that one down.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And the last member of my household, I'd like to introduce Noel. Thanks, Annie.
G'day, Kylie.
G'day, Noel. So, tell me, which nights of the week are you going to be home this week?
I'll be home 5 nights, so I won't
5
be home
nights.
Thursday and Friday night.
Oh gosh, that's okay. Thursday and Friday. Fantastic. All right, and favourite meal?
Stir fry.
Stir fry it is. All right, let me write that down. Excellent. All right, thank you, Noel.
You're welcome.
Good to see you. Okay, so just to revise again, so the questions you need to ask your household: which nights of the week are you going to be home? And what is their favourite meal? Now you might think, why am I asking what their favourite meal is? You're asking because now you're going to be able to prepare something that they really like to eat. You know, like, I'm a fan of kale, but I don't think I could have it 7 nights a week. We want to make things that people prefer to eat. So consequently, you can slot that into your meal plan. So if we're only looking at planning for the 7 days, we've just got 4 favourite meals. There's 4 meals already catered for there. And then we might have a leftovers meal, so that's 5. We might go out for dinner and we might get takeaway. So there we go. We've almost got our 7 nights completely covered. That's a great start for a meal plan. So from there, when you put all those in your week, you can then isolate what the ingredients are for each of those meals. So you can have a look at researching the recipes that you need, or if you know them, you might already be able to construct a shopping list. The other aspect to shopping for the ingredients off your menu plan is to make sure that you've got enough food. Because, you know, like, it's one of those things. In fact, I think this is a bit of a grandmariology sort of thing. I know my grandmother was like this, where she used to make a lot of food. And I think her portion understanding might have been a little skewed, but it was with value because she had lots of leftovers. So when we came to visit after that amazing dinner that she prepared 2 nights ago, there was still plenty to share. So portions are a good part of understanding how much to purchase, and will enable you to then not purchase too much. And remember, limit the food waste. So we're not having wasted food. There's a couple of different websites that will help you with portions. Sustainability Victoria is a good website to start with, and with understanding how much each person eats. Then I would actually encourage you to do a little bit of trial and error, because you're going to then be able to buy what you think you need and then cook it. If you've got too many leftovers, modify, change as you need. And if you haven't got enough, you might need to have some extra toast. So modify and play with the portion control and portion amounts so that you purchase the right amount that you will need. Okay, we're at another action point. This next action point is you've got all the armoury, you've got all the knowledge to now create a meal plan. Welcome, and thank you for staying with us regarding meal planning. So hopefully at this point you have your meal plan fairly well constructed. It's all either on a device or on your hard piece of paper that you might actually have as a magnet attached to the fridge, so that all your household members can understand where they might be, what meal they might be having for the night, and, you know, where everyone else is for the week. So at this point, I want you to start to think about a different style of meal planning. So not negating what we've already done, but just adding that bit of understanding of what you could do to construct a meal. So you might have a recipe, as we sort of suggested before. And in fact, we've got some of those meals in front of us now. So spaghetti bolognese, tuna bake, stir fry, and we have a little pizza here as well. So all of the favourite meals are represented here. They're the ones that this lovely household indicated as being their favourite meals are represented here. Oh, there's a different way of doing things though, and it may really help you avoid food waste, which, let's face it, that's what it's all about. And that is to create a meal all based around a particular ingredient that needs using up. So, you know, you might have been shopping and you've seen a 2-for-1 deal where you've thought, you know, like, I can buy 2 lettuces. I can buy 2 bunches of celery that are going to, you know, be much cheaper than just buying one. And now you have that celery that has to be used up and you just don't know how to incorporate that in the meals. So you can think about that celery and think about how it can be included in your stir fry, your spaghetti bolognese, the tuna break, or, heaven forbid, celery on a pizza. So you could think of it that way, or you could actually, you have those ingredients that need using up and think, I'm going to base the whole meal around that and surprise my household with a new meal, a new type of meal. Use that as the champion of the dish. And so that's a different way of thinking. And in that way, you're not going to waste that food item. You're not going to waste that ingredient. That's a huge bonus. And again, that's where you reap all the advantages that we've mentioned earlier. Another way of incorporating those ingredients that you might have come across might be going and having a look what's in the garden. So you might be growing your own vegetables from the garden. And you might have found that you've got lots of rhubarb. This is a cool little broccoli. Look at that, Quincy. A little bit of broccoli.
Oh,
You can help yourself to that.
Do you want a little nibble?
Yeah. Good job. I know Annie will have a little nibble of that too. Not sure about Noel. No. So you might find that you've got a lot of a particular ingredient in the garden, and again, you can build a dish around that particular ingredient. And in doing so, make sure that you're not wasting that food. So you might think this is a big, use some rhubarb in some of your ingredients you might have as a side dish for, mixed with a bit of oil, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of butter, some salt and pepper, and that just might add the greens to your spaghetti bolognese dish. So there's lots of different creative ways of thinking. If you just focus on a particular ingredient and be a champion and use that as the champion of that dish. And in that way, you'll avoid food waste in the similar guise. And so the goal for this particular section, or the action for this particular section, is for you to go to your fridge now, have a look in the fridge and think, what is close to its use-by date? What's wilted and looking sad? What needs using up? And think about those favourite meals that were indicated from your household earlier and how you could potentially incorporate that particular ingredient into those meals. So have a think about that. That's another little action point for this presentation. Okay, back to living with your meal plan. This is probably a small few sentences, not much in this section of the presentation, but actually really, really important. Like, it's one thing to create a plan and to then even put it with the magnet on the fridge, but the real important part of this presentation is to actually get you to carry it out. So I want to encourage you on a couple of levels. First one is you've got to make it easy for yourself. You've got to make it tangible, and if that means it's not actually a piece of paper stuck to the fridge, if it means it's on your device, or if it means it's just 4 nights out of 7 that you're planning for, or if it's 4 breakfasts, whatever it is, you decide what your meal plan actually looks like and then make it work. So make it something you can achieve. Having said that, here's a few thoughts that might actually help. So one of them is, and ask anyone, I am a big alarm person. So set an alarm on your phone that suggests that you need to plan something for the meal for the evening, for tonight or for tomorrow night. Whatever it is, just write your alarm, make it just like a little, oh yeah, okay, what's that alarm? It means I must meal plan, or it means I must prepare something. So that's just a little thought you can do. Another little thought that I've got written down here is to enlist some help with by some other members of your household. So you can say to Quincy, Quincy, can you go and pick me something like some parsley out of the garden? And then you might take him by the hand and involve him in that way. It might be perhaps Noel, and you might get him in the mornings, Noel, before you go and check the cows, can you please cut up the carrots for the stir fry? So involve other people in your family. And in that way, it doesn't become such a big obstacle. It's not such a big burden. It might even be, Annie, what have we got in the fridge that's close to its use by date? You know, you have a look. You know, we're all avoiding food waste. This is not just one person's responsibility. It's the whole household. And then also as another thought, you might actually decide that you can actually prepare things in little stages. So you might be able to, for example, you're going to have rice for the night. Well, there is absolutely a great plan in getting the rice that you need, maybe 1 cup for 4 people, and actually soaking it in the morning in cold water. Will actually decrease your cooking time for that evening. So those little subtle bits of preparation, even throughout the day, can make meal time much more rapid, much more quick. And it can also, because you're visiting the fridge, you're visiting the pantry, it can also make you realise what is actually in there that you may need to use up. So however it may be, however works for you is the way the meal plan should be created. And that living with it component is something that's really important for you. So as the last goal and action for this presentation, the last action rather than goal for this presentation, is I'd really like for you to go back after having a meal plan in place for maybe 1 week or maybe 2. I want you to go back and have a look and just see how much food waste you actually have now. Has it decreased? Or, you know, is it the same? Is there other things that you can think about doing? And maybe some of the other things that you can think about doing involve shopping. So our next video in this presentation is all about strategies to minimise food waste in the context of shopping. So I hope that you can join us for that presentation as well. Again, avoiding food waste is not just beneficial in the little picture for me, it's beneficial for the big picture for all of us. So thank you for your time. One last thought is, I am more than happy to receive emails of requests for assistance or some thoughts or some helpful hints that you might have that also want to be shared to others. So by all means, get in touch with me. And again, if I can help, I will. Thank you for your time. Have a lovely afternoon, evening, and day.